Performance is a word that we throw around all the time at work. We need to perform better. How's their performance? Let's review their performance. But if we stop and ask people what performance actually is, most can't really explain it. Let me break it down in a quick way that stuck with me and the way that we approach it at Beeline. So performance is competence times real-world execution. So what is competence at the end of the day? So competence is, can they do it? Do they have the ability to do it? Where real-world execution is, do they actually do it? And how do we assess their ability, how can they do it? So we look at it as 2 dimensions. So one being theory. Theory, do they understand it? And then practice, can they demonstrate it? So most training systems and platforms, you're primarily focusing in on theory. This would be your traditional exams, tests, multiple choice assessments. They're testing do you understand it and can you retain that information? And then practical is can they demonstrate it in practice? Can they show someone that they have the ability to be able to do it? And I'm going to quickly show what that looks like in these 2 dimensions on a chart. So when we're looking at the competence framework, we want to try and get someone to the highest level of competence, which is over here, let's say point B. When they're starting off on day 1, they are down here at the bottom of the chart, let's say point A, and we want to get them from A to B in the most effective way, hence the name Beeline, a direct line from point A to point B. So an example to get them to that point would be maybe they come in on their first day, they do a training program and they assess where this person's at demonstrating their ability of, let's say, making a cup of coffee. It's a barista. So they do a little bit of theoretical training and prove their knowledge there. So they go up on the theory axis. And then also they prove a little bit of practice. So they're sitting about over there after that training program. They've proved theory and practice somewhat. So they've moved from this point to that point up the chart. Then maybe a week later, they do another theoretical training program, assessments and all that. So they move up on the theory here again. So they've proved their theoretical knowledge, they've retained information. Then they do a big assessment with the manager in terms of proving that they can actually do what they need to do in practice and move up on the practical side. Maybe they showed a little bit of retention and theoretical knowledge in that session as well. So they moved that direction in theory there too. And we slowly move that person all the way up to point B, where they are a master at their craft within that specific competence, with that skill competence. So this, for example, could be making a cup of coffee at the company. So as a barista. So we've now moved that person from a novice to an expert, a master at their craft. If we just train someone on the theoretical axis, we make them what we call a theorist. So they know exactly how to do things, but they can't necessarily prove it in practice. Or if they just can prove it in practice, but don't know the theory, there's also problems and challenges that come up over there. When scenarios change or they can't teach anyone else, that's when challenges can come in. We call them practitioners. So we want to move people from this novice space all the way through into a master space in that competence. So now we've proven that they have the ability to do it. And now that times, do they actually do it, will give you their performance. We will use performance management, like performance reviews and that, to actually assess the real world execution. And that will let us know and show us where the gaps are. So once we do performance reviews and that and assess this real world execution, that'll show us where we need to put energy from a competence perspective. So from practice and theory to improve that, to drive better real world execution at the end of the day. Because our core goal with all of this is to improve the person's performance in a measurable and predictable way.